There we go. Now it's recording. Well, I woke up nice and early today so I can get out, make the big drive so I can go pick up one of these bad boys. GoPro Hero 9 Black just came out today. And as you may or may not know, this channel is largely based around POV mountain biking footage. And so it's kind of a big deal when one of these new ones comes out. I always have a wish list of what I hope it will be like. And so I'm really pumped to go and check this one out, compare it against the 8 in some pretty rough settings. You know, it's gonna be quite interesting. And so I'm going to take this little guy, put it on here next to the 8, and fling myself down some trails and see what we get. Okay, Beth just dropped me off. There she is, she's driving back this way. Thanks, Beth, bye, you're the best. So I've got both cameras running right now. Wow, it's really busy behind me. The actual mountain bike trail I'm going on is down in that direction there. And it's gonna be really loose. It's a single black trail called Reclaimer. It's sort of my, what is going on this road? This is sort of my GoPro testing track. This is where I was last year at around this time, testing the 7 against the 8. And now it's the 8 against the 9, and we'll see who comes out on top. What I'm hoping for is a little bit crisper audio, so we can hear like squirrels just nice and clearly like that. I'm hoping for, as always, better stabilization. I've got this one, the GoPro Hero 9, set up on 5K, 24 frames a second, and I've got the Hero 8 set up on 4K, 24 frames per second. I set it up how I normally set things up, so that's Pro Tune on. I've got a flat picture profile, which is another huge thing I really hope is better or flatter on the Hero 9. I know that sounds a little silly, but I want as flat of an image as possible so that I can use it, so that I can tune it later in my editing software. I've got a whole video on that as well. I'll post that above on how I make my GoPro footage look good. I've got them both on a chest mount. We're gonna hop onto the bike here, the Ibis Ritmo 2. Everyone's always asking me which bike I'm riding. That's the one. She's a beaut. So let's strap this thing on and get going. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that I am pretty much always, I am always using Super View on my cameras for my mountain bike POV footage. Oh my gosh, that is loose, that's crazy. But you can't do Super View in 5K, which I'm assuming is part of the reason why they're bringing out that extra wide lens in about a month. So right now I've got them both set on wide and with hyper smooth 2.0 and 3.0 boost. Now, this is not a race. Anytime I'm on camera down the tracks like this, I always feel like I have to go super fast, but start the Strava, Ryan. What's the point of riding a bike if you're not Stravaing it, right? Oh yeah, yikes. So this track gets a lot steeper than it looks on camera. There's these weird rock berms. Very chunky through here. Very loose. Good times. Woo. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets really steppy, chunky, still super loose. Whew. Okay, holy smokes. Drop there, and chunkiness right after. I really felt the camera's moving. Anyways, I was saying, between setting the 9 in 4K and 5K, the amount of time that I was able to record didn't change, which means that tells me that it's recording both of those at the 100 megabits per second. So you don't get more megabits when you go to 5K. It's kind of disappointing. So yeah, so just keep in mind that the 8 does have a bit of an audio advantage over the 9 in this test because I have these little furry things covering the microphone ports on the 8, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the 9 as well. I just haven't gotten them in the mail yet, so but I have to say that I have heard the 8 without these little wind mufflers, and the 9 definitely sounds better. It's more full and also more crisp at the same time. So in my opinion, the 9 sounds better than the 8, even though I know that you're hearing some wind gusts on the 9 mics, but pay no mind. And by the way, I do obviously 100% recommend that people do put these little sticky furry things onto their GoPro mic holes. Makes a world of difference, and then you don't have to deal with like the auto wind microphone garbage that sounds terrible. Anyways, I'll put a link in the description. Hi, internet. It's cleaning off the 8. Okay, so now it is set into a setting that I would probably use most often, and that is Super View. And so, which means they're both set onto 4K, they're both set onto high bitrate, Super View, but the Hero 9 Black has a Hyper Smooth 3.0 boost in Super View, which is pretty cool, whereas it's regular Hyper Smooth 2.0 in the Hero 8. And so I'll be curious to see if there's much more croppage going on in there to get that boost setting. Let's find out. But this is probably what I'll be using most of the time, unless it sucks. And just a quick heads up that you're now going to be seeing color graded versions of the footage because I don't feel like looking at the flat versions anymore. Which Super View will be better for, because Super View tends to show speed a little bit more, whereas wide tends to show steepness a little bit more. Woo! Man, oh man. Down the chute. Really pay attention to both sides and maybe even scroll back and, you know, just kind of watch one over the other. And you can see that there are many, many times that the Hero 8 cannot keep up with the amount of bumps going on the trail, whereas the Hero 9 stays pretty much perfectly smooth the whole time.
And we're riding all these incredible places and telling people all about it. And so I talk and ride a lot. Not that you'd be able to tell. Oh, little jump. Oh, so loose. And so how the audio sounds is really important. And not just general audio, I mean like vocal audio. Whoa. Every single corner is just kitty litter. So fun. Go a little high. Woo. Yeah, so lots of big roots on this track. Ooh. Time to replace those brake pads. Lots of big roots. So when I'm hitting all these roots, I can feel the chest plate bouncing around. So those are the times in regular Super View on the 8 that I would see some bounce. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. And by bounce, I mean movement that the Hyper Smooth could not handle. Okay, that is that part. Woo. Good times. All right, it's time to get down to a kind of a flowy trail for our next test. One that I'm pretty curious about.
Oh, I'm digging this front screen. Fix my collar before I record, very nice. Hey, so now our next test, pretty curious about this one. So with my normal setup, I go to ridiculous lengths to make sure my horizon is level. I think that's really important when it comes to mountain bike videography, especially when you're doing like park riding when there's lots of berms, and the camera's going like this. Having said that, the camera probably didn't just go like that on the Hero 9 setting, because I have it on linear plus horizon leveling in 5K, 24 frames a second on the Hero 9. And so we're gonna go down a trail behind me here. We're at the Canmore Nordic Center right now, and it's a trail called Soft Yogurt. Nothing crazy, it's just like a fun sort of flow trail. There's some nice sweepy berms, and so when I'm in berms, I'm leaning. And we'll see how well this horizon leveling does. I would never normally in a million years use linear for mountain bike videography, at least POV style, because it's just too narrow of a field of view. You're not capturing what's around you, and also trying to set a good angle is almost impossible. So I'm not really expecting much from this. More just a test of the horizon leveling thing.
So loose. Whoa, going too fast for this trail. Woo, yep. Sometimes I get a little excited. So I'm kind of hitting all the berms here, tilting in Into another big old berm. Woo. Oh, I hate this jump. That's fun. And bermy. How was that for you?
So at least with my settings, the horizon leveling didn't really do its job in this instance, but I did hear after the fact that GoPro doesn't recommend any resolutions above 2.7K in order to have that perfectly level horizon. And so I'll have to go out and try it again at 2.7 to see if it really holds steady as I'm going around like those big swoopy berms. But at least in 5K or probably 4K as well, didn't quite do the job.
Are you ready for the next test? All right, now I know, like, my settings are weird. I do this professionally. I use a GoPro professionally, but not everybody does that. And most people are just gonna turn these things on, keep it on the automatic mode, put it in 5K and go. So right now it's set to basically full auto, other than me setting the frame rate to 24 frames a second. And the Hero 9 is set to 5K, Hero 8 is set to 4K, but everything else is on auto mode. So there's no Pro Tune, there's no flat color profile. Now, having said that, the lighting right now is best case scenario for GoPro color. By that I mean it's not very contrasty outside. And as soon as, like, if it was full sun, GoPro color would look like garbage, but I actually think it's gonna look pretty good right here. I've also got sharpness set to high, all the usual stuff that would normally be set on this camera. They're both set to the wide POV with boost. Yeah, let's go. My gosh, I know it's not gonna show, but everywhere it's just so slippery with dust. Okay, this gets difficult. This corner coming up here. Gotta really keep your composure on that one. Yeah. So how does this look?
Yeah, so you notice how it looks and especially sounds like garbage? Well, this is what great cameras look and sound like when you set them to full auto. So make sure you watch my other video on how to actually make this stuff look and sound good, and subscribe because I will be doing a video that's going to specifically cover these custom manual settings for the Hero 7, Hero 8, and Hero 9. And I had to throw this last clip in at this very smooth jump park to show you just how far we've come with electronic image stabilization. Holy moly.
So those were my first initial tests of the Hero 9 Black. Overall, I'm really impressed. I really can't wait to get some of those mini little dead cat filters on the microphone ports, because I think after I do that, the audio is going to be really, really stellar. I can hear that great audio tonality behind the wind noise, and so I'm pumped to check that out. And so this time last year when I was testing the 8 against the 7, I wasn't really convinced the upgrade was worth it, and I think most people thought the same thing. But now with the 9, I think between the battery life and the flatter picture profile and the crispy 5K, and the removable lens cover now again, you know, there's a lot to love about this camera, and I honestly think it is worth the upgrade from the 7 especially, and even from the 8 as well. So if you are looking to step up your action camera game, definitely look into this, and please, please, please don't just leave it in all the auto settings. Check out my other video on how to set these things up properly, and subscribe, because I'm gonna put out one specifically for this camera pretty quick. Yeah, just to get the most out of this. I mean, you're paying the money. You may as well get the most out of it, right? Let me know what you think of this camera down in the comments section. If you want me to do any other tests with this camera or versus any other cameras out there, let me know, and we will see you in a week or two. Cheers, everybody.